Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Export to Japan podcast. And for this exciting episode, we are going to be looking at an amazing new innovation that's taking place in Japan that we recently heard about. And by way of introduction of this, we were recently working with the UK government on a division called Innovate UK, that were taking a group of innovative UK tech companies over to Japan as part of a visit program to have a look at Japan with a view to doing business and building relationships in Japan. And as part of organizing that program, we heard about this new initiative underway with a headline of saying it is going to be Japan's largest startup incubator center. And it's a new initiative taking place. And even more interestingly, the location of this center is not in Tokyo or Osaka or one of the big major centers that international companies often think you have to be based in order to do business in Japan. So we decided to go and visit that center and take the group of companies there. The feedback from them was amazing. And therefore, we thought this is something we need to learn more about and bring to the attention of our Export to Japan audience. And to help us do that today, I'm really pleased to welcome two members of the Station AI team as our guests on the podcast today, Kanako Kato and Lee Sakina. Kanako and Lee, welcome to the Export to Japan podcast.
Hello. It's really good to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for spending some time and making some time to come and talk with us today. So to get the discussion underway, perhaps, Kanako, if I could start with you, if we could just kick off and learn a little bit more about Station AI, as it's known. Tell us a little bit more about what this initiative is all about, please.
Okay. So actually, like, Station AI is, as you said, the largest facility in Japan as of today. And it's like a facility of Aiichi prefecture. And it's based on Aiichi startup strategy, started from around 2018. And we provide many kinds of services to not only startups, but also like stakeholders include. And we're trying to enhance open innovation, as in we're saying that like business creation, or more of like, yeah.
It sounds amazing, and everything I've heard about it so far and the images I've seen of the building and the surroundings are just so impressive. So I'm looking forward to learning more about exactly how it's going to work and how it operates. But one point, before we dive into that detail, one point I want to understand more about is the location, because as I mentioned, it's not in one of the necessarily in one of the big major cities like Tokyo or Osaka or Yokohama. It's actually in Aiichi prefecture. Could you tell us a little bit more about that location and why the Station AI Incubator Center was set up in that location, please?
Okay, so Aichi prefecture, not many international people are known for, but still, like, Aichi is the third largest capital city in Japan and is located geographically as right in the middle of Japan. So some said that like Aichi prefecture is like the heart of Japan. And personally, I really love this term because it's kind of really easy to remember. And then also like it has like some message behind. And then also like Aichi's I in kanji means love in English. So yeah, personally, I really like the term. And also like for answering your question of why we are settle our facility in Aichi is that we actually are the operator of the Aichi prefectures, and then like Aichi prefecture has this facility and we are the operator, so that's why. Is that answering your question?
Yes, it answers it perfectly. It answers it perfectly. Yes. And I think to help sort of expand for our international audience, to help expand their knowledge and their understanding, while we're giving a bit of a geography lecture here on Japan,
Yeah.
I believe that region it is certainly a very strong manufacturing hub and manufacturing region of Japan, and certain sectors, like I think particularly automotive and maybe in aerospace as well. There's a very strong presence of Japanese companies within those industrial sectors in this region. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. That's why well, like not only people from Aichi prefecture, but also like people from outside of Aichi wanted to come to Aichi prefecture to have a little bit more connection with that like automotive manufacturer sector as well.
Got it. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. And I think I've certainly visited a Toyota facility. I think there is I don't know if it's the head office or certainly a large Toyota facility and other automotive companies in that region also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it was certainly one of the interesting points I would add on this from my, many years experience of helping international companies come into the Japanese market. Of course, a lot of international companies do automatically think Tokyo is the place you have to be, and that's where business happens. And of course, there are strong reasons for that. But also, so many of the big industrial companies and manufacturing companies have their facilities in locations like Aiichi. So there's very, very strong, compelling reasons for companies to look outside of those regions. And obviously initiatives like the one that you've done, this incredible startup center, there's so many appeal reasons why it would make sense to go and locate there. And we'll obviously talk more about that in a moment. One thing I just want to touch on very briefly is the relationship with SoftBank. So I believe SoftBank is the sort of major investor in this, or one of the major investors. Could you just briefly give us a little bit of a link of where SoftBank fits in with this, please?
Okay, so briefly talking, really like simply put, SoftBank Corp, well, like we as in like Station AI is a 100% subsidiary of SoftBank Corporation. So SoftBank is our parent company, kind of. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Very clear. Thank you. Okay, that's great. Now, moving on to the center itself, as I said, I've seen lots of imagery of the center, and it's a hugely impressive, beautiful new building. I think around 7 floors and all kinds of facilities there. And we'll look to include some of those images on the Export to Japan website to give our viewers a bit of an idea of what this facility looks like. But let's dive into talking a little bit about the membership of it. So what sort of organizations can become a member and a tenant, and is it only startups that would qualify for that?
So we're open to mostly like anybody who are eager to connect with startup and wanted to do open innovation as their own. So basically we have like 2 types. One is startups and the other is like besides startups, which is like enterprises, for example. And also we do have a member from university nearby as well, for the program of university does. So we do not only startups, but also like a lot of stakeholders includes. We can welcome them in our facility.
Great. Okay, that's great. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a company that's in a startup phase. I mean, whatever that may be, it's not necessarily easy to define what startup means, but it can be companies that are a little more established and have been operating for a while. But in our case, in terms of international companies, they might just be coming to Japan for the first time and looking to set up an operation and start doing their business in Japan. Those kind of companies would qualify to become members of Station AI.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Very clear. Thank you. Now, let's now have a look at where we're at with the facility. And at this time today, while we're recording this podcast, we're just coming right to the end of October. We're about to move into November, and obviously by the time we publish this and people are listening, we will be into November. And I believe you've had some form of kind of softer launch, but the official opening and launch is about to happen right now. But anyway, could you tell us a little bit more about that, where you're at with the opening of the center and where things are as of today?
So we officially open, our official open is November 1st. And as of today, we've already have 500 startups, and then also 200 over enterprises members as of now. So we're trying to seek more because we have like a short-term goal of saying that by the time of 2029, we want to gather up thousands of startups. So we're on a track, but still like we need to be more like eager to correct and invite more international startups to come in to our facility.
Well, those kind of numbers that you're talking about are absolutely colossal. That to me is almost mind-blowing that at the time you're launching, or actually technically you haven't launched, it sounds like it will be tomorrow or the day after that you're technically opening and launching, you've already got 500 startups signed up to come join the facility. And that is such an impressive figure. And clearly you're not standing still on that. So just to repeat that number so that we've caught it right, by 2029, which is just 5 years away, you're looking to grow that number to have at least 1,000 in your center by that time. That's super impressive. And of course, we're here today talking about the international community and how we can make international companies aware of what you're doing and the benefits of joining. But obviously, you're also very active in getting Japanese startups in there. So, again, could you tell us just a little bit about that? It's obviously going to be a combination, and I guess the core will be Japanese startups, but you are also looking and welcoming international companies in as much as possible too.
Definitely yes, because of course like there are a lot of other startup support center in Japan, but I believe that there's not one in huge one as like including international startups as well. So we're trying to seek that part as well. And yeah, so that's why like we're seeking for international startups to come into our facility so that not only Japanese startups but also internationally we could grow together.
Yeah, fantastic. How amazing, and what a great strategy and a great philosophy. And again, just referring back, to my experience over the last 20 years of bringing lots of international companies into the Japanese market, one of the biggest challenges always for overseas companies when they start out in Japan is how do they build their network? How do they get to know, potential partners, collaborators, potential customers, potential suppliers? How do they break into the Japanese market? How do they work with Japanese companies to expand around the world, etc.? That's always one of the biggest challenges, and not an easy thing to do for international companies coming into Japan. But from your perspective, with what you're doing with the center, if you've already got 500 startups signed up and part of this initiative, and you're looking to at least double that to 1,000, what a great springboard for international companies to come in and then have the opportunity to get to know all those other startups and start building relationships and understanding who's doing what and looking at ways to collaborate together. That sort of center of excellence and being able to foster that networking and that connectivity is a massive benefit to help companies coming into the market. So very, very impressive. And actually on that point, let's drill down a little bit more and just understand a bit more about how your facility will work and how those opportunities for that kind of support may happen. So, I think you mentioned to me previously when we spoke that there will be some sort of networking opportunities and maybe some mentors and things like that there. So could you tell us a little bit more about some of those initiatives and what goes on for the companies that join up?
Sure. Lisan is like a community, so maybe I could like just hand it to Lisan about this one. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Actually, as you know, Station AI have a 7-floor facility, so we do offer office space for startups, but we are more than office space because we have many mentors here, so they are always ready for helping international startups to expand their business in Japan. So also because Station AI is a project of Aiichi prefecture, so we have many network, so we can introduce some big companies or your university to for international startups. So we do have a lot of networking events in the Station AI. So also we can offer some support for registration when startups want to, yes, build their companies in Japan. So we are doing kind of supports like this.
That's amazing. That's really, really good. And you mentioned the mentors there,
Yes.
and that was another area that really caught my interest. And I think you mentioned when we've spoken previously, you mentioned that at least one of those mentors is an
Yes.
English speaker. Is that right?
Yes, they can speak English. And one of our mentors have built his own startups in Myanmar. So they have the experience to build a startup. They have know how to build a startup, so they could tell startup to how to expand their business in Japan too.
Amazing, amazing. So what a huge benefit that you're offering there. Not only the opportunity to come into a center that enables networking and introductions and building relationships with other amazing startup companies, but you also have mentors on hand who have the local knowledge, the local experience of building their own startups and building their own companies, and they can offer advice and support for international companies to really help them, guide them through what for international companies is quite a complex thing of doing business in Japan. It's not naturally easy. You do need, some guidance. You need some mentoring. You need someone that's had that experience to kind of take you through the process. So it's great to know that you've got that kind of facility there as well to support those international companies. Just one question I wanted to ask about the office space itself. So as we mentioned, it's a big facility that you've got there, and you mentioned that companies can come in and have their own office space. Is there sort of communal spaces available as well? Or is it all just individual offices? How does that sort of internal layout work?
Actually, we have 3 types of office. So one is co-working space. So the second one is fixed seat. And the third one is private room. So startups can choose one of the as their needs.
Great. Okay, so those options are all there, and I guess you've got some flexibility around that, so that we often find companies need one sort of facility when they first put their foot into the market, but then as they grow and expand and hire more people, they maybe need to move and upscale and get bigger spaces and things like that. So all that flexibility will be fabulous too. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Now, in terms of the kind of startups that you're looking for. So we spoke about it doesn't necessarily have to be pure startup mode. It can be more established companies. We've also spoken about this particular region and some of the industrial strengths, the manufacturing strengths, and some of the sectors like automotive and aerospace and others that are very strong in that region. From your perspective, are there any particular types of international startups you're looking for, or is your door wide open to accept any startups from any particular sector or industry, or are there some priority areas you're looking at? What's your view on that, please?
Actually, we are open to every international startups who wants to expand their business in Japan. But as Aiichi prefecture is very famous for manufacturing, healthcare, so we could offer more help for those startups who with solutions in the manufacturing sector, maybe.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Great. Okay. Now, I know it's still early stages for you. You are literally about to officially open the doors from an official point of view. But however, you've already made enormous progress with signing up 500 members and 500 companies. In terms of your current position with international companies, are there any particular, like either a case study or one or two examples you can give us of international members that have already joined Station AI?
Sure. Actually, we have 2 members has already do collaboration and POC with big company in the in Japan. One is a Hong Kong startup whose name is Urban Chain. So he makes parking lot solution. So he has already do the POC with Meitei in Nagoya City. So, and the other one is a Korean startups. It calls Stotelia 8. So he offers a solution for prevent the disaster. So he is also doing the POC with a city near Nagoya City who calls
Great.
what's
Hamamatsu.
Hamamatsu.
Yeah. I know very well. Yeah, I know very well. Okay, that's great. Yeah, they're two very good examples. I guess the first one you mentioned, Urban Chain, with a parking solution,
Yeah.
that is loosely in the sort of automotive mobile sector, and obviously the preventing disaster solution is so relevant all over Japan, of course, and the rest of the world. Those kind of technologies and know-how is required. So again, I can see why two organizations like that would find your location a very suitable place to be. So yeah, good to hear about that. Okay. I guess one final bit, I'm a little bit aware of the time, so we're coming towards the conclusion now, but just to help our international audience that may not be hugely familiar with the geography of Japan. So in terms of where you are based, for example, from Tokyo, if one of our listeners is coming over on a visit to Japan and they might be flying into Tokyo or spending a bit of time in Tokyo, let's use that as an example. How far away are you from Tokyo, and what would be the route to get to you? Is there a Shinkansen, for example, or a local train, or how far away are you roughly, and how do companies get to you?
From Tokyo to Nagoya, which is like central city of Aiichi prefecture, is we could go through like bullet train, and it will take around 2.5 hours, I believe. Yeah, so it's not that far. It's not that close. It's pretty much like good distance, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's good information for companies to build in. I'm thinking if they're coming to Japan on with an itinerary for a week or so for some initial meetings and things, then at least they can look to build that into their schedule during their visit to come and have a look at your center, meet you guys and learn more about it. So 2.5 hours by Shinkansen from Tokyo to Nagoya Station, something like that.
Yeah. And then also like we do have hotels on top of like the our floor, 7th floor. So you could maybe like, if you want to stay for more than one day, you could just stay with us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so the hotels are actually in the same facility, the same building.
Yes.
So impressive. The more I hear about it, the more impressive it is. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, listen, this has given us a really good overview of the center and the region and the incredible progress you're already making. And I look forward to watching with great interest to see how you continue to develop the project. I'm sure it will continue to go from strength to strength. In terms of the next steps, I think it's been a very helpful introduction to make our audience and our listeners aware of who you are and what you're doing. If they are interested in looking any further at the center in any way, what's the next step for them? Where do they reach out? Where do they get information? How can they contact you, etc.?
We have the website. We do have English version as well. So you could, if you could just type on search bar of saying like Station AI English, you could find our website. And through that, we have inquiry form, so that you could put any question that you have, we're going to answer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. And we will put that link on the Export to Japan website and all the other routes where we distribute this podcast as well. So we'll make it easy for people to come and find you and look for more information and potentially reach out to you if they would like to discuss more with you about the center and its benefits. That's wonderful.
Great.
Well, that's been a really good discussion. Thank you both again for your time joining us. I know you're both very busy, so we appreciate you giving us some time. I can't imagine how busy you must be, quite honestly, with this project just being launched and signing up all those companies already. It's super impressive. So we're grateful to get a little bit of your time. And it really, really is impressive to hear about this facility. The sheer size and scale of what you guys are doing is hugely impressive. And I'm so excited by the opportunities for those companies that come on board with you to work together to foster innovation and spin out bigger businesses for everyone's benefit. It's a really, really exciting thing that you guys are working on. So thank you for joining us today to tell us more about that. And for those of you listening into this podcast, I hope that's been enjoyable. I hope, like me, you found it really fascinating to learn more about Station AI and obviously build that into your thought process as you're looking at the Japanese market. I think you can see the benefits of why you should seriously consider it as a location in Japan. And obviously, if you do want to learn more or take the discussion forward, have a look at the website, have a look at the link, and potentially reach out to the Station AI team, who will be more than happy to help you with any further inquiries. So please go ahead and do that. So Kanako, Lee, thank you both very much. It's wonderful to catch up with you both. Thank you for your time and your great help. And I better let you go and get on with your busy work and busy schedule. So great to see you both, and thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.